Hello, my name's Deborah, and over the last 10 years I've been the co-writer, the director, the producer, and one of the lead actors in the YouTube series Ohmydinosare Sherlock. And when I say one of the lead actors, I play pretty much everyone. Apart from Sherlock and Mycroft, I'm everyone else. I'm Watson, I'm Lestrade, I'm Mrs. Hudson, I'm Anderson, I'm Moriarty, I'm just everyone. I'm everyone.
Yes, obviously, because I'm a method actor. Please don't refer to me as Sewage. I'm Sherlock right now, and I will be Sherlock until we're finished shooting Series 3. So, who am I? My name is Sherlock Jones, and I play Sherlock Holmes in OMD Sherlock. My real name is Sewage Dappy Jones, but I'm a method actor, so we won't go into that. Right now, I'm Sherlock Jones, the actor who plays Sherlock Holmes in Ohmydinosare Sherlock. I also play Mycroft, and there was a barkeeper at some point, I think, or a landlord. I think that might be it. I think that maybe I had more roles. I don't. Sherlock and Mycroft, those are the main ones. Also, I'm lead writer on the series. My assistant writer, Deborah Jiminton, sometimes proofreads things, but that's mainly so I can give her something to do.
Admittedly, for a lot of my roles, I've been working under the now retired pseudonym of Bad Cheminton, but if you see that, it's just me. It's just me. Liam Sewage is always Liam Sewage. I used to use Bad Cheminton as a stage name, and now I don't. So Ohmydinosare Sherlock kind of had its inception point way back in about 2012. The BBC Sherlock series was airing. It had just aired its second season, and I'd been watching it from the start. Sewage commented to me, "Hey, have you seen the new series of Sherlock?" And I had, 'cause season 2 had just aired. And we found that we both liked it, and by this point we'd been working together making various different videos for about a year. We'd been working on stuff for about a year at that point, and we took a notion, wouldn't it be fun if we did our own sort of spin on this, our own sort of parody series of the BBC Sherlock series. That was the initial idea that we had, and we kind of built on it from there. I feel like the more it went along, the further it kind of expanded out from parody of the BBC Sherlock to series that has an aesthetic root in the BBC Sherlock but is kind of its own thing, to almost just being its own. Apart from the theme tune, it's basically its own thing at this point. So we had this idea and we ran with it. We wrote 3 scripts, very excited. I went out and filmed a load of scenes on location outside Mycroft's house, outside what I think was implied to be Baker Street, and a lot of stuff for the series finale up on a rooftop of what's meant to be a castle but is clearly not a castle, it's student halls, but I did film on an actual rooftop.
So my earliest memories of writing the first series and the second series thereafter, I know you said 2012, but it must have been quite early 2012 because I distinctly remember still being in year 11 in my secondary school and reading the scripts on my notes app on the bus, and also calling Deborah while I was on that school bus. So I don't really remember the process of writing, but I remember about the time that I was really excited about it and really eager to get it moving and made, but it was also really like super daunting to actually do that. But then there was a whole summer where I was so motivated. I was going to do the Thief Saga on my channel. I was going to do Revamp Doctor. I was going to do Sue Fall, Sue Bond. All through that summer, didn't end up doing any of that. Didn't do any of that shit. And then I started in college, in A-level college, and suddenly I had a very large and diverse friend group, and also for some reason my father decided that that was the ideal time to start charging me to live at my house that I've lived at for my whole childhood. So I ended up having to take on a second job at a kebabery. So while my intention was to film all this stuff and it'd be really, really exciting and great, my time went from a complete free summer to a completely full couple of months where I was either working or learning.
And then we were going to do the rest of it over probably the course of later that year, but we didn't. We somehow didn't. With a sort of mind to cross-promote the series, Sewage came up with a script for a video on his channel he was going to put up at Christmas 2012, in which it's implied to be set after season 1, because the characters refer to the rooftop fall and all of that stuff. And that was going to be his Christmas video. I filmed scenes for that as Watson, Watson's girlfriend, Mrs. Hudson and Moriarty, and I sent those to Sewage. That never got made. In fact, the following year, so this is February 2013, I took that footage and I re-edited it into a video called The Text Files, for which all of the Sherlock Holmes elements are just stripped out very poorly, sort of dubbed out. Anyone saying Sherlock, it's dubbed, and it's implied that everyone's talking to each other rather than everyone's talking to Sherlock, and it makes no sense. I made a video every day that month, that particular February.
Go away,
old woman.
I'm busy.
But eventually, 2013, Sewage was like, oh yeah, I was going to make that, and so we remounted the project. I had by that point lost the original footage because I dubbed over bits of it and I re-edited it, so I didn't have all the lines he needed, so I had to reshoot this for his 2013 YouTube video on his channel. It was called Christmas on Baker Street.
Go away, Sherlock. I'm busy.
That video is no longer available. So, but we will come back to Christmas on Baker Street because we come back around to that eventually. Just hang on for that. Fast forward another year, the BBC Sherlock aired its 3rd season, and we were like, oh yeah, we should get on with our version of this. This is kind of topical again. Now it's been 2 years. Rather than filming our series, we wrote a second season. We wrote season 2. We hadn't done anything in season 1. We wrote season 2. We finally got round to actually filming stuff in the summer of 2015. This was about the time I left university, so I had all this rooftop stuff I'd filmed in 2012, and season 2 had a lot of flashbacks to the rooftop that we didn't have footage for because it was like alternate angles, alternate versions of events. So I went back up onto that roof while I still lived in halls and filmed the remaining scenes. And the inside of the flat was supposed to be my room in halls, so everything set inside the flat with any of my characters, that was filmed then in the summer of 2015, just before I left uni. Sewage, in the meantime, over that sort of late 2015, sort of summer into autumn 2015, filmed everything. Everything with Sherlock in it, everything with Mycroft in it. If he played another character, he's one of the bakers in The Blind Baker. Gosh, who else? He doesn't play many characters. Anyone else, though, like that, he filmed all of that over that little period in sort of around the summer 2015.
And filmed it for ages, and then like 2 years passed, and I was thinking, okay, soon I will be in university, and I'll be able to film all of this stuff. And well, what do you know? I got into just the worst relationship, and I really struggled to film all the stuff. But you know what? I found some free time, and I filmed a big chunk of it there and then. And is that when the first that feels like that's when the first episode came out? I did everything for the first episode and some stuff for the other episodes, right? Is that how that went?
And I so much meant to get the series 1 at least done in bulk, the whole thing around about then. I just didn't. He sent me the footage and it sat on my flash drive, and I just didn't get anything done. I had my footage on a different flash drive because there was so much footage it needed 2 of them, and I made nothing for another year, which finally brings us on to the 29th of May 2016. Exactly, if I make this on time, exactly 10 years ago today, the first episode of Ohmydinosare Sherlock went up. Season 1, Episode 1, The Hardwood Sweeping Brush. Now this episode, we both wrote this one together, me and Sewage. This was based on a blog post. If you remember, the BBC Sherlock series had a tie-in. Obviously, Watson in that is a blogger, and the blog that he keeps, they kept that as an actual website as a sort of tie-in, so you could go and read the blog posts that he talked about. And frequently throughout, particularly the early seasons of Sherlock, they keep mentioning the business with the aluminium crutch. And there is a blog post with that story. We took that story, we took the crutch out, we replaced it with a broom, and that was it. That was the first episode. And the first episode, there's a lot about it that I think if I was making it now, I would have changed. It's for one thing, it's too short. It's like 13 minutes. It flies past. We do a speed run of the introduction from the TV series, ostensibly. How they, well, it's not even, it's just, they meet at Baker Street, they're going to share a flat, boom, Sherlock does one deduction and now they're friends, and then they go straight to the murder scene, and it all goes past very fast, and I think that was the idea we had at the time. It was going to be short and snappy, but the more we worked on them, the more we're like, these could be like proper built out mysteries. This one doesn't really have time to breathe. We meet each of the suspects once. We don't really have much time to linger on them. The solution's just sort of given to us. We do have a little bit where Watson goes to meet Mycroft, but everything feels like it needs to be expanded upon. And the thing I most wish I'd changed is, retrospectively I guess this is maybe quite obvious, the character of Sarah/JC Groenwagen, who is one of my recurring characters on my non-Sherlock videos, just making a little cameo. There's this whole bit where the character is revealed to be transgender. It's very poorly handled. By the time we made this, I was trying to come to terms with my own gender identity, but I hadn't got anywhere near far enough to articulate that. And I was like, the way that this is written is not good, but we'd already filmed all of one half of the conversation before that, and I was like, I can't work out a way to tweak this so that it's not, and I just left it in. I think nowadays I would have been able to work around it. There's stuff in season 2 that I was like, not keen on that, and I changed it. And so that's my kind of big regret from that series. Because JC in my outwith of these videos, JC is in like 100. If you watch my other videos, JC is like a recurring character, and she did eventually transition, so I do plan to bring JC back in another episode as sort of Sherlock Universe JC and address that whole bit and kind of retcon it into not being, because it's a bit. This episode also features the first appearance of Moriarty, but to avoid it being a spoiler, the character is credited as, I think, Murray Artist. So if, anyone that's, for some reason someone's making a big catalogue of things about this series and you're just going off the end credits, you wouldn't think Moriarty was in this episode, but he is. As Sherlock's potential flatmate who gets declined. But very much a sort of proof of concept episode. It's a pilot. It's shorter. It's not quite got the elements together. All the basic parts are there. All of the main characters pop up at least a bit, but no one's fully defined yet. I think they get more so as it goes along. And I completed this episode sort of in secret. Obviously Sewage had filmed everything a year earlier and thought that I was still sleeping on the project. And I managed to surprise him by uploading this on his 20th birthday. So that was a fun little trick I played there. I like to be unexpected. Next we had the Piers Theatre Plan, the little minisode. And this one was not part of the original plan at all. The season 1 and season 2 were written with no minisodes. And I was going on a trip to Butte in the spring of 2017. I'd been there once before and I was really taken with this building. It's called the Pavilion, and I used that as the establishing shot for the Piers Theatre. When we wrote the Hardwood Sweeping Brush, I'd never been to Butte, because the first time I went there was in 2015. But I just really liked the building, so I was like, yeah, that is the Piers Theatre. And I was going to be back in Butte, and I already planned to do the second episode in the May 2017. I thought, a year later, here comes episode 2. And I thought, let's do a little sort of lead-in scene, a sort of prequel, sort of prologue thing. So I just sort of filmed it I think I did write a script ahead of time, possibly, but I didn't really plan anything. It was very much last minute, just put some lines together and film outside the pavilion building, which is the reason why Watson is not wearing the correct costume. Watson's just wearing what I had on that day. And Sherlock addresses it. This is the only thing that Sewage filmed as Sherlock after that 2015 period when the bulk of stuff was done. Everything else was done, up to and including then, and then nothing for 2 years, and then that one appearance. So that's why Sherlock looks just that little bit older. Because he's 2 years older. I mean, my age jumps about all over the place in these. Some scenes were filmed in 2012 when I was, I think, 19 in the earliest footage. And then in a lot of stuff, I'm about 22 going on 23. And then episode 1, oh gosh, how old am I by then? 23, 24, 25, sort of throughout to 26 in the season 1, and then season 2, I'm in my 30s. Sewage's age is fairly consistent apart from those 2 minisodes. Mine's is all over the place. Incidentally, the title for the minisode is supposed to be a play on the Bruce Partington plans. I'm aware that the plot has nothing to do with the Bruce Partington plans. I just thought that was funny. Sewage, I think, maintains to this day that it's a terrible title. The Piers Theatre Plan, what is that? I like it. I don't know what to tell you. I like a silly pun name. We do these a lot. Almost all of the episode titles are puns. That's not going to stop anytime soon. Season 1, Episode 2, The Blind Baker. That one was written entirely by me. The title is a play on The Blind Banker, which is the second episode of the first season of the BBC series. That's it. That is where the similarities end. I made the pun. I came up, I was like, hey, instead of the blind banker, right, we can have the blind baker, because they live on Baker Street, right? And the story could be that there's 13 bakers on Baker Street, because it's like a baker's dozen, and or was it 12? I don't remember. We do this joke a lot, and I can never remember which way around we did it. I think there's 12 bakers, and then they say it's a baker's dozen, and then they're like, no, that's 13. Anyway, that's where that bit came from, because there's an establishing shot of one side of the road on Baker Street, and it's just a row of bakeries, and eventually we see the other side of the road, and it's the actual proper Georgian terrace houses. But yeah, one side of the street is just bakeries. There's 12 bakeries just in a row, and I just thought that was so funny. I was really tickled by that. This is the episode where Anderson really becomes Anderson, because up until that point Anderson's kind of been nothing. Anderson, similarly, out with my Sherlock series, I liked Anderson too much, so Anderson pops up in loads of other things that aren't Sherlock, but and obviously initially based on Anderson from the BBC series, eventually just completely a different character. Ohmydinosare Anderson has basically no similarity to the BBC one at this point, but is my favourite character. I love Anderson. I love Anderson. Anderson's just so innocent. And we had more jokes, and there were better jokes, and the episode was longer. I think it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So it's actually a proper length. But the whole plot of the episode is just of my own creation. It has similarities. I will say the plot bears similarities to the Six Napoleons. I think retroactively now I've got a better grasp on the broader, because when I made these, I'd seen BBC Sherlock, I'd seen that crazy asylum film with Gareth David Lloyd. I'd seen that. That was it. That was all the Sherlock Holmes I'd seen. So my Sherlock Holmes knowledge was quite narrow when we were writing these. Just accidentally, I kind of wrote the Six Napoleons, because that's about gems hidden in a bust of Napoleon, and the criminal goes around smashing them to find the gems. This one, the gems are hidden in a pie, and the criminal goes around eating all the pies and then killing the bakers so they don't make any more pies until they find the gems. It's sort of parallel thinking, I guess.
The numerous long stretches of dialogue for Sherlock.
Yes, blind. And here we go, reading again. Clear reading. There are also hand marks along the wall from where he had felt his way along. All around the bakery there are scuff marks at floor level, obviously from where. Therefore, the lights were turned off so no one would have seen when the murderer turned the... Yeah, you get the point. I messed up. And there are also hand marks on the wall. There are also hand marks on the wall from where he had his hands feeling them. There are also hand marks along the wall from where he felt his way along. Yes, blind! Yes, blind! Therefore the lights were turned off so no one would see when the murderer turned, bludgeoned the baker to death. Finally, there's no light switch at the back of the entranceway. I hate this. I don't like it.
I'm a fan. I think it really gives me an opportunity to really run with the dramatic monologues and to really like showcase my acting talent, of which there is a vast quantity. I wish every line I had was a really long monologue. I hope that series 3 and potentially series 4, if that ever gets greenlit, I hope there's even more room for incredibly long monologues for me. In fact, I think the whole show would be a lot better if, instead of there being other characters and emotional kind of connections and chemistry between Watson and Holmes and solving mysteries, I think the whole thing would be better if it was just Sherlock Holmes stands on a blank background, right? Just tells you everything that happens. I think that would be far more interesting than bouncing between dialogue or showing you what happens. I think I nailed all of those, really, and I'm excited to do some more of them. So I wrote the worst episode of Series 1, the worst episode of Series 1 being episode 3, which is basically copy and pasted from the BBC Sherlock series and kind of mashed together of 2 episodes. So that one's rubbish. I mean, it was made very well, but it's written rubbish, and so much of it is just borrowed from the BBC show.
I feel like you can kind of tell which of us has written which episode, because each series, we write one each and then we write one together. And the ones we write together usually have a lot of sort of clashing, chaotic ideas. The ones I do usually have a coherent, single thread mystery throughout. And up to a point that has, you can plot out, here's the inciting incident, here is the clues, here's the solution. Sewage's ones tend to be more sort of flowing narrative. And I don't mean this as an insult, I think because it takes 2 episodes and combines them, it kind of has it kind of goes, the energy goes up and down a lot throughout it, and it's kind of like, why is any of this happening? It's not quite expanded upon, but again, at this point, this is written in 2012. How old was Sewage in 2012? I was 19. He would have been, 15? So we can't really blame him. He was a child when he wrote that. I made this. I finished this in 2018. At which point I was 26, I think, when I made the Reichenbach game. So I probably could have editorialized a bit and improved on it. Did I? No. But from a plot point of view, this episode's probably the most important in the series, just because the ending of it, the entirety of season 2 hinges on this one scene. We keep coming back to it. I wish we hadn't. In season 2, we do 9, well, arguably 10 flashbacks to the end of season 1. And this is part of the reason why, well, we'll get to the delays later on, but this didn't help. The fact that I was just like, I have to make all of these are going to be so hard to edit. But it's definitely the most important episode, even if it's not the most coherent episode. It's the episode that has most of Moriarty in it. I really like Moriarty as a character. I love the energy. I like doing that accent. Unfortunately, because Moriarty's scenes were filmed a little bit in 2012, a little bit in 2015, and a little bit in 2018, all for that one episode, and the performance varies a lot depending on when I filmed it. And also my appearance changes quite a lot between that 6-year gap. I wrote in a line about Moriarty getting a haircut. I don't think that really explains anything else.
The filming, the rooftop stuff, I had to film a lot of flashbacks, and I had to film the initial scene. Was that a tiring experience? You tell me. You've seen the the behind the scenes footage. I've not seen that in 10 years, more than 10 years.
This is the worst thing ever. I'm hating every minute of this.
Oh no, a stingy nettle.
I'm facing another direction than I was earlier. It's stressing me out.
It's raining now. It's now raining.
It's awful. I'm not enjoying this at all. All of these effects are going to look rubbish.
Did I look tired? Did I look like I was having a really horrible time and I was fed up with it? That sounds like what you're getting at, is that I was a real miserable git up on that rooftop. All I can tell you is that it was at a time where I was really anxious to film anything, and so I did it really sneakily around my family. And I had to wait till they went to work, which was like after 5 p.m. And then pack up all my filming stuff and my costumes in a backpack that I hope no one would notice me sneaking out of the house. Then run up the side of the mountain, which was like a 10-minute walk, and then film everything before it got dark. And I feel like this was not peak summer, so by 6 o'clock it was getting dark.
I don't know where all of these are supposed to be set anymore, so I'm just aiming for getting it done.
I think I don't know if it was a tiring experience. It was an anxious experience. I don't really like doing things in public. I don't like looking silly. Probably less so now, maybe.
He's just lying on top of it. What a goof.
Yep, there's a dead body there. I'm just going to lie on that.
The actual jumping off a wall 20 times, that was really fun. Also, a lot of it I had no idea how I was supposed to be. This is before the times we did proper directing and storyboarding and proper guidance on how to film things. So I was just there with a script that was like, oh yeah, use an umbrella as a zip line. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to film that?
Whee! Just still of me holding onto the umbrella. Do something with that in GIMP.
Bungee jump off a 3-foot high wall. How am I going to do that? I don't know. I just had to improvise. So maybe your perception of it being tiring for me is that I'm just there going, added in post, added in post, added in post.
Oh no, that's in the helicopter. Not sure how we're going to do that one. Somehow you have to make this look like it's a helicopter. Not sure how you're going to do that. The probably you can do that in post. Alright, put an Anderson here, will you? Thanks. Right, you need a shot of me gliding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand on there and I'm going to pull a glidey pose and you can GIMP it.
And to be fair, you did edit in post, and I think it worked well. Actually, that was a baller strategy and it was awesome. And I think going forward, we will plan more thoroughly for you to add it in post, but you're still just going to be adding it in post. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to be adding it in post.
A fun little bit of behind the scenes information about the filming of my rooftop stuff. When Moriarty jumps off the roof, we see multiple angles. I am filming on a rooftop. It's only one floor up, but it is. You can see I'm actually on a rooftop. And then I run to the railing, I climb over the railing, and I jump off. And I love how that looks. It's quite convincing. The halls I lived in at the time had a little courtyard, so the rooftop was at one end. And if you come down off the roof and in the building at the door where the rooftop is, and walk through to the other side, there's a little hidden courtyard, it's a very small one. And it has like a raised stone patio platform and then a drop that is about, I don't know, sort of like stomach height maybe, and it's got a railing around it, and then there's a slightly lower bit. And if I basically had the camera sat on the floor of the lower area, and I ran across, ran up to the railing and jumped off, and it was, I was jumping 4 feet, 5 feet maybe. It wasn't a big fall, it was very manageable, but because I cut it in with the footage of me on the roof, it does look like I jumped off the roof, and obviously it's pointing up at the sky, so you see sky above you. Personally, I'm still pleased with that. I came up with that idea, that was like available to me. I obviously I can't film there now, but that's just a little Easter egg in case you wondered, how did I film myself jumping off the roof? That's how I did it. And then we just had a really, really long gap. Now, the scripts for season 2 had been written before season 1 was properly filmed. You know, we wrote the scripts for season 2 in 2014. I mentioned this earlier. We filmed the bulk of stuff for season 1 and 2 in 2015. And then, you know, I finished off those episodes as we went along. Season 2 was just always so much more daunting. I mentioned before that all these flashbacks that just made it feel really unapproachable. The episodes were clearly much longer. There was more stuff left for me to film, because obviously each year I'd finished one. And it got to 2019. I should have been doing another one of these, but I had a big Doctor Who video I wanted to make instead. And that kind of got the filming slot that Sherlock would have been done in. So we missed a year. We didn't get one in 2019. 2020, COVID, everything was kind of up in the air. And by this point, I was actively transitioning. I'd been sort of coming towards it. By the time I filmed Reichenbach Game, I was kind of preparing myself to sort of open up about that. It'd been kind of a while coming. So by 2020, I was growing my hair out. I was presenting very differently. And my concern became, my hair already fluctuates massively depending on if it's 2012 footage or 2015 footage or new footage. It's now down to about here. This is just going to be really inconsistent. It's going to be very noticeable. And the more time went on, because by 2021, I was on hormones, and that changed even more stuff. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So it just sort of got parked. Every so often I'd think about the Ohmydinosare Sherlock series. I made a video a couple of years back called The Unfinished Showcase, where I talked about a lot of things that I'd started and never finished. And that was the one I was most sad that I hadn't done. I would look at the footage of the stuff we had filmed and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. That scene that looks really cool when that happens and when this happens, and all this extra rooftop stuff I shot, and it's just never been seen. And I've always felt kind of bad that I hadn't. And last year, early 2025, I sort of took a notion. I got into a sort of Sherlock Holmes enthusiasm spiral. I was got really interested in the Granada series, which I've been watching my way through. I've seen about half of it now over the last year or so. And I was sort of, I just had a lot of Sherlock Holmes stuff in my head. I was like, wouldn't it be nice if we finished our Sherlock Holmes series? And I was finding myself thinking that more and more as time went by. And I was watching the Granada series. I was like, imagine if we could play on some of these, but if we did new ones. But we can't do new ones because we've got season 2 sitting half made. So finally I was like, okay, I have this footage. I need to play all these characters. I don't look like that anymore. I bought a wig, and then also I after filming a couple characters with the wig, I was like, I could just tie my hair up and tuck it in my shirt and just pretend. And then Moriarty, I don't think I'd filmed any new Moriarty scenes for season 3. So Moriarty just has a ponytail, and any new characters that pop up can just be women, and it's fine.
I never thought it would ever be finished after the huge hiatus. I never thought series 2 would ever be finished. Mainly because I feel like the first 3 episodes, right, consistently came out 1 year annually around my birthday. And then 10 years went by? 9 years went by? So yeah, no, I never thought it was going to be made. But then I also never thought that Thief Saga was going to get made. Sometimes you just have to let Deborah come to the realization in her own time that she's actually just going to be making some stuff that you can't be bothered to make. No, I think it's exciting. I think working with someone who gets into kind of waves of mad enthusiasm and really hammers something out, regardless of how much work it's actually going to be, is actually really fortunate, and I've got mad respect to Deborah for actually finishing it. It's a really nice treat that it now exists. It's kind of been not exactly like a wait, but it's been a kind of, this is a thing we never did. There's loads of footage just sitting around on Google Drives that's never been used, and that's a shame, and it's a big unfinished task, but it's one that's ticked off, and actually that feels really good to see it ticked off.
We also had a few other little stumbling blocks to try and get season 2 together. Firstly, by this point, if there's any scenes of Sherlock that we didn't have, well, in theory we just didn't have them, because Sewage didn't have that outfit anymore, so we couldn't do pickups for Sherlock. Anything with me, pickups, fine. Sherlock pickups, they are a problem. And I will get on to how I solved, because we did have some. I'll get on later to how I solved them, because that's a fun story in its own right. But we also had an issue that throughout season 1, we brought in Boaty McBoatface as a guest star, and we killed him in every episode. His character, he played a character that died in every episode. It's like a running joke. Episode 1, he's the victim that gets killed and is just a corpse throughout the episode. In episode 2, he is the killer who gets assassinated at the end. And in episode 3, he's a hostage who gets blown up. So that was like a running joke. It was very funny. Between finishing season 1 and filming the remaining footage of season 2, Boaty McBoatface died. And without having filmed any of his scenes for season 2, the thing was, I don't think we'd actually consciously written any parts from him in season 2 when the scripts were done. The fact that he had a part in season 1 was just almost incidental. The parts were written for him, but it was after the fact. I was like, isn't it funny how he dies every episode? That's like a thing. But then like I say, he died for real, and I was like, I kind of like that running joke. We don't have. There was no parts planned for him in season 2 to be a character that got killed. The character just wasn't there. But I was like, I kind of want to just to tie these together, because that, they were originally planned to be one big block, and I was like, I want to bring that thematic thing. So obviously we didn't have Boaty McBoatface available, so we just kind of faked it. We have other people wearing the jumper and like a wig and face obscured by a mask, or like there is a character that's supposed to be dead and their face is flashed up on the news as a still image and it's a picture of Boaty McBoatface. And then in Hound of the Bakervilles, it's the dead scientists have like their faces turned into animals, so it's just kind of like a composite image with like a pig's nose and like sort of boat glasses and hair. So I kind of sort of sneaked Boaty McBoatface in, not so much as a tribute, just as like it was kind of funny that this we killed you every episode. We'll work that in. So that brings us on to Season 2, Episode 1, The Sign of Six, written by both of us, and again it's got a lot of sort of clashing ideas at play in it. It's obviously, the title is a play on The Sign of 4, or The Sign of 3, I guess. I think that was probably what The Sign of 3 is a play on The Sign of 4, The Sign of 6 is a play on The Sign of 3. It has no similarity to either of those stories. It has elements from The Empty House / The Empty Hearse, but not really much of that. It's really just an original story with a title that plays on the title of a BBC episode, because that was sort of the pattern. Because season 1 we had one episode based on a blog post, one episode that's an original story but the title is a play on an episode of the BBC TV series, and then one episode that is kind of an adaptation of an actual episode, or like an actual story, but again it's really an adaptation of the TV episodes. It's not properly an adaptation of actual Sherlock Holmes at this point. But that was a pattern we continued with this. We had an episode that is just the title is taken from an episode that's based on a blog post, and then the last one is an adaptation. It started off as an adaptation of the BBC episode, but we'll get to that. But for The Sign of Six, we had, like I said, elements from The Empty House, Empty Hearse, with Sherlock returning from the dead, and then it was this sort of contrives most of the episode. I think like half of the episode is dealing with that, really. And then the mystery, we've got this stuff with Greebson. It's an original character, and it's kind of nothing. It's not our strongest mystery, but it's more meant as a character piece. We look at the characters, we add, we see how everyone's dealing with loss. I think on an emotional level, it's stronger than as a mystery. This episode introduced us to the idea of mind goats, which were another of the things that really delayed me making these, because I was like, how am I going to do these? It was written in a bit like the Robert Downey Jr. films, where he narrates the things he's going to do and we see it in slow motion and then he does it. But we didn't really have any of those things done. None of it. We didn't have the footage for it. And I was like, how am I going to do these? Eventually I came across the idea. I have these, I'd made these little Sherlock puppets. I've just got them around. I did a fake out episode before I made season 1, and I made these little puppets, and we just thought, why don't we just do the mind goats with the puppets and just like really like have all these like, and I really went for it. I love how the mind goats turned out. There's a lot of them in episode 1. There's none in episode 2, but there's like 2 in episode 3 that are quite long, and I really like how they're done. There's the little details and the exclamation marks and the facial expressions. I just really like the mind goats. We'll bring the mind goats back for season 3, don't worry, I love the mind goats. The opening scene of this episode with Anderson on the rooftop and the helicopter rescue is probably, it might be my favourite scene of the entirety of Sherlock. I just love that. I had such a firm vision in my head. I filmed most of it back in 2015. A couple of extra like shots I sort of cut in that are newer footage, but I really like the dynamic of the running up the stairs and the helicopter, and it just when I saw that cut together, I was just like, we're here. I'm finally doing it. This is obviously because it's the opening scene of season 2. And I was like, yeah, we're doing it. We're season 2. Here we come. A little fun bit of trivia: the Matrix. In the script, it says something like Anderson dodges the bullet like the Matrix, and I probably slip a disc in my back trying. That was the way I filmed that. So there's 2 shots. I'm up on the rooftop in the same place I'd filmed the previous rooftop scenes, and instead of falling down dead, Anderson I start to lean back as if with doing that, like waving my arms. And then it cuts to another shot in a different place. Immediately below the rooftop, there was a sort of paved area. And in that paved area, there was a railing and a little, like, hole in the ground that sort of, there's a basement window looked out into this sort of, just to get light into the basement window. And I put my legs down this hole. I leaned so the railing was under my knee, and I was able to just lean right back so my head got really near the ground and then come back up. And I think it looks kind of convincing. I'm quite pleased with that.
Gosh, that's too much like exercise. Oh my goodness, that was... Okay.
Obviously, as I mentioned, this is the first episode to make use of the wig that I bought to try and make myself look more like olden days me. It didn't look anything like what my hair looked like in 2015 that we're trying to match with. But then, in the 2016, 2017 and 2018 footage, my hair is wildly different in all of those, and I keep cutting back and forth. So I feel like there's enough sort of suspension of disbelief that you're like, fine. Just to hide the gap that little bit more, the first scene that I shot with the wig, I filmed it on my old camera, because by that point I'd upgraded to this camera. My old footage, everything up until 2020 was filmed on my laptop webcam, which is amazing that I managed to get it like out and about on location and do such dynamic things with it that I did, because it was literally, it's fixed onto my laptop. I had to take my laptop wherever I was filming. So it was a noticeable change in picture quality, and I thought the wig plus, I mean, what we're 4 years worth of estrogen by this point, plus 7 years of just aging, it's going to be all that more noticeable if we suddenly cut to much better picture quality. So for that first scene at the door, it's the old camera. I still have the old webcam, so I filmed that scene with that camera, just to tie the two together a bit more. One final thing I'd like to mention about this episode, I did say that the writing process, when we co-write an episode, there's a lot of clashing ideas. This one really came to a head because I had a solution to the mystery that was more, it just had a little bit more to it. I was like, okay, so this guy, Grebe, he's threatening to blow up, like, stuff. He wants to blow up, I don't know, Parliament or the world, or just make explosions. See, that's his threat. He has the power. He's demonstrated they can kill people, and he's going to unleash, he's going to blow a bunch of stuff up, and he's got all these explosives like with him when they come to meet him. He's like, yeah, I mean business, I've got all these explosives, because they still meet, I think, at the duty free at the airport. That was part of it. And it turns out that the explosives aren't explosives, they're just bottles of wine purchased at the duty free, disguised as explosives. I really liked that. I thought that was really funny. That was like a little twist. I don't remember entirely how the rest of it tied together. There was more to do with like the ritual of the bodies being found. That got really watered down as well in the redrafts, and I don't think I have the original drafts anymore. Sewage vetoed that. He didn't like it. He thought the bottles of wine explosives or bottles of wine was too silly, so we just took the whole... We kept the meeting at the airport duty-free. I think that was more me out of spite, but we're not getting rid of the duty-free. I'm editing this, so I decide. But yeah, I didn't want to lose that bit, because I just thought it was really funny, the explosives or bottles of wine. So I just gave the solution a slightly garbled version of the original solution to Anderson. So when Anderson solves the mystery and comes out with all this stuff, that was the original solution. That was how... It made more sense than Anderson makes it sound, but that was the original solution.
The Inexplicable Matchbox, which was my other episode that I wrote, is, I mean, for the most part, an original story. It's based on one of the BBC show's blog posts, which was incredibly vague, and so I filled in a lot of the blanks with nothing, with absolutely nothing. It's a very non-mystery, but I quite like it. There are some elements I really like. Sherlock as a clown is quite fun.
How do I look? I have my phone in my hand. How do I look?
Do that one more time.
Okay. Isn't that good?
No, I just had a lantern shot.
This episode introduced the character of Donovan, and I still don't really know why Sewage wrote Donovan into this, because we're, by this point, on the fifth full episode, we've established here's all the characters, and Donovan just kind of comes in, Sherlock doesn't like Donovan, and that's it. That was initially all that Donovan did in the series. And I was kind of confused. Sewage really wanted to play Donovan. Sewage had this idea, oh, I've got this great plan, I'm going to be Donovan, I've got it all planned out. Sewage never filmed Donovan, that never got done. So the part was left to me, and this was left to me to work out, oh yeah, that I need to do this, that never got done. In 2025, by this point, I was getting a bit fed up with having to, dress as pre-transition me and play all these male characters. I was getting a bit tired of that. So I was like, let's make Donovan the sort of femme non-binary character. That'd be fun. That's a bit different. So that's how we kind of ended up with Donovan. And I dressed Donovan up as sort of like off-brand Sherlock with a coat and the scarf. I was this close to giving them a hat, because I do have a deerstalker. It's not a very good one, but I was like, no, I didn't in the end, but I thought about it. The implied romantic history between Sherlock and Donovan was not in the original script. I added that in when I filmed it, because I thought I want some more depth to this character. I'm playing this character, let's give them something. The romantic connection with Anderson was actually established way back in episode 1. Donovan is mentioned in episode 1. Sherlock says, oh, you've been romancing with Donovan, I can tell.
Oh, shut up, Anderson. You seem to have misplaced your name tag. I assume you left it at Sergeant Donovan's.
Or maybe I left it at your mother's.
So I was like, yeah, let's play on that. Donovan and Anderson, they're an on-off thing, maybe. I quite like that. I thought that was a fun little bit. But again, that wasn't really... It didn't take much tweaking of the script to fit this in. Sherlock had... I removed a bit of dialogue where Sherlock calls Donovan a man, and I redubbed a line where Sherlock refers to Donovan as him and changed it to them. Other than that, everyone else that speaks in that scene, it was new footage, so I could just like write whatever I wanted, and there's a lot more conversation. Donovan has a lot more to do. I really like Donovan. I love the sort of I like an eye roll. I don't know what to tell you. The sort of sassy eye roll thing is. It's very fun, I like to do that.
Something's going to stop his heart. Oh.
That scene also contained a very special guest star in the form of Sam. He was visiting. I really wanted him to be in one of my videos, so I was like, you are going to play a dead baker, lie on the floor. He didn't enjoy... If I've got some footage, I'm gonna play it just now. He complained so much. He did not like being the dead baker.
This is very uncomfortable.
So, are the crocs in view? The crocs are probably not in view.
Not in this shot, no, they come into it later on.
But I would normally not wear crocs.
Your character would wear crocs always. Your character loves crocs.
But I also wouldn't normally wear this because I don't really do any cooking.
Yeah, well, you're playing a baker though, so your character...
And I wouldn't wear a watch, especially not one that can't fit on my wrist.
Your character does.
And I wouldn't have spoons.
Yeah, well, let's see you get your...
But the spoons was my choice.
The spoons were your choice, yeah.
Fuck me, I don't have the thing to do that.
If you like, you can just... Oh, yeah.
Is that good?
No, you're still very tight. Well, just get up like that, I think. If
I can't... I don't... Can anyone you know do that?
I just did it, didn't I? Can you do it?
No, I don't think I can do that. I don't think
Just pop up from a squat there.
I don't think I have that. Like that. No, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But what's supposed to be going on?
This is basically we're learning how you died.
Well, it's not going to be very convincing because I don't know what I'm doing.
And we find it'll be perfect. I don't think knowing your motivation necessarily helps. You'll see it.
It's not knowing the motivation. I just don't even know what the plot is. Right, I don't understand.
I think that'll be fine.
Really hurt.
Okay,
it really hurts as well. Did you do any health and safety forms?
Well, this is the whole purpose of this is it's about bad health and safety.
Yeah, but if you're doing a thing about health and safety, it doesn't mean you can't do health and safety.
Swap hands with the spoons in the kettle.
So I'm left-handed.
It's just so I'll get a better shot. Is the sort of struggle as if you're being electrocuted.
How high do you want my arms to be?
Just sort of about shoulder level.
Get
the spoon in shot. That's so we have the spoons.
Can I let go of the? Can I fling the spoons?
As long as you don't break anything.
Right. I'll fling them gently.
Yeah. So just a bit of a sort of struggle while you're...
I'm trying to think. I'm sure I had another question. Is it recording?
Yes.
So I can just do it now?
Yes.
How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect. And then...
you have a spoon gone, Jesus. Can I hold on to the spoons and then, but sort of keep it sort of like, not super visible, and then I can sort of spoons can go everywhere as I fall on the floor?
Yeah, sure. You can spill spoons. Yeah, once you're in that position, you can be sort of mostly...
What is that for?
I think there's a spatula head for that somewhere. That's perfect. That's really good.
Yeah, okay, that's stunt work that was.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So...
Do I have to do this out or rather...
yeah, no, now we need some... So I'm going to be in frame here.
Can I say stuff or is that...
Well, I mean, you're dead.
No, but you're...
I think this will be dubbed over.
Right, okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
I can just talk. About anything, jelly babies, bananas, and Mr. Man.
Your rigor mortis is already set.
Yeah. You're going to do it again now. Then you want me to let you lift my hand up?
No, I think it should be alright.
No, that's rubbish.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay, good.
Is that watch going to be alright?
Yes, it's fine. It doesn't need to be alright.
Do you want me to go behind the camera for that bit?
I need to stay lying there.
Yeah, but then I could go behind the camera and be lying here.
A close-up of me at the...
Probably lots of me breathing.
Yeah, you're probably not the most convincing dead person, but... The Series 2 minisode, The Not Good Baker, title incidentally is a play on the Norwood Builder. Again, the plot has nothing to do with this, other than maybe the Norwood Builder case has just happened, but it's a baker instead of a builder, and then this happens. It's certainly none of the mechanics of the Norwood Builder are in this. At some point I'm going to take all these episodes that I've taken the title off but not done the story, and I will do them, but not today. So you may remember I mentioned that back in 2012 we filmed footage for a Christmas special called Christmas in Baker Street. I filmed all my scenes and it never got made, and I reused my scenes for something else, and then a year later it did get made and I had to film everything a second time. That channel's no longer active, or it had a rebrand and all the videos are unlisted now. So that was no longer publicly available, and I thought to myself, we had a minisode in season 1. This is a very late decision. This is when I was sort of in the planning stages for season 2, but I was getting everything sorted. I thought, I'd love another minisode. We have a minisode. It's filmed way earlier than everything else, and it's going to need some tweaks to make it work, but I thought, why don't I take Christmas on Baker Street and just sort of redress it? So that's what I did. Mrs. Hudson's scenes, Moriarty's scenes, and Sherlock and Mal, the not good baker, they are all from the 2013 Christmas on Baker Street. Watson and Watson's girlfriend, I decided I wanted to reshoot, partly because my previous attempts at playing Watson's girlfriend, I was like, yeah, I can definitely present a lot more feminine than that now. By this point, I've appeared as myself as well in episode 1, so I'm averaging about one genuinely female presenting character per episode at this stage. But I felt like for Watson's Girlfriend, at this point, compared to 2013, I thought I can definitely play a more convincingly feminine character now than I really had the ability to then. And I thought, well, I'll refilm that. But then I thought, well, if Watson's Girlfriend is played by me aged 32, it's going to be a bit weird using the footage of me age 21 as Watson. That's like slightly too much of an age gap. I know it's fictional and they're both me, but I was like, no. So I reshot Watson again. I have filmed. There's a scene where I'm doing the, I've got my back to the camera and I'm doing that to look like two characters like fondling and embracing. I filmed that shot. I filmed the whole of it 3 times.
Ooh, let's romance. Romance? Kiss me. Okay. Ooh, let's romance. Romance? Kiss me. Okay.
Let's romance. Romance? Kiss me. Okay. For a little bit of extra fun, because I made Watson's Girlfriend, who's now got a name, excitingly, her name's Eileen. I made her a goth because I had this goth outfit I got for Halloween a couple of years back, and then I was like, I kind of like this vibe generally, so I've got like a lot of other goth outfits now that Eileen can borrow. But I had these long fishnet gloves, so I rolled up the sleeves for the third attempt. I rolled up the sleeves, and I had the fishnet gloves, and my nails painted black, so it did look sort of like it kind of worked. And then when they fall on the bed, and I was able to do a very quick cut. So when she kicks her leg up with the fishnet tights and the boot, there's not enough time for me to have rolled over because I did a little cut. I thought that was quite cleverly done. Also, Anderson didn't appear in the original version because by that point, Anderson wasn't fully set as the character that they became. But I think Eileen is the thing I'm most pleased with from this episode. I made a GIF out of her. Again, I love the sort of sassy eye roll thing. There's a scene where I'm sort of reclined in bed, all sort of very gothy, and I sort of roll my eyes exasperatedly, and I love that shot, so I made that into a GIF and I now use it for everything. And Eileen pops up again at the end of Hound of the Bakervilles. Should season 3 happen, I would expect to see a bit more of her. And so finally we have season 2 episode 3, The Hound of the Bakervilles, based on The Hound of the Baskervilles, or I guess originally based on The Hounds of Baskerville, with the BBC version, but sort of tweaked quite a bit. And then I edited this quite a lot after. This was the one that had the most rewrites when I came to do the 2025 filming, because by that point I wanted to put more of the original story in. I'd seen the Hammer film with Peter Cushing, and genuinely my favourite Sherlock Holmes story. My favourite, like that film, I love it. I so much really like how it's great. I think The Hounds of Baskerville was my favourite episode of the BBC series anyway, and then that film is just like my favourite piece of Sherlock Holmes media. I think it's a great story, and I just wanted to include more elements of the original thing. So there's more of the idea of the curse, and there's a scene set in Victorian times, and there's like a jump of like 150 years, and there's stuff about the mire. You might sink in the mire, because that was meant to be they came up to like a wall or like a cliff, and I couldn't find a bit like that to film in, and I was like, oh, we'll have it be the mire, because the Grimp, was it the Grimpen Mire? I really like that. So we have. I couldn't find a very good bit of mire. It's really just a muddy puddle, but I really like that, and I think because it's my favourite Sherlock Holmes story, this is my favourite episode of the series, and it's not just, I think, because of that. The location filming that we did, my friend Kaya took me out onto the moors, to Matin Moor for the daytime filming, and Dava Moor for the nighttime filming, and it adds so much to the episode. I'm very aware that if we had filmed this in 2015, like I think we kind of initially intended to film it all in one big block, or if we'd continued it one a year, so we'd have had season 2, we'd have gone out in 2019, 2020, 2021. If we'd filmed this in 2021, or 2015, it would not, I wouldn't have been able to film on the moors. This would have been filmed in my garden probably. I'm really glad we had this delay because what we were able to do, I just really like it. That moor footage is so moody. I love it so much. As soon as you get out on the moor, it's so moody and the location is doing so much of the work. It adds instant sort of production value that this is obviously a very low budget production. The budget goes up a bit as we go along, so I start buying costumes. I had to buy lights for the night filming. But that location just suddenly looks so much more expensive because we're filming an actual moor. I genuinely really, really love it.
Okay, do you want to be in screen or out screen?
I'll kind of just come down the hill from about here.
Okay, if you go further over that way. And then back a bit. And yeah, that's good. Droplets. All I can see is...
How's your droplets? The camera's picking downwards.
I don't know. There are no dogs. Jumps in the air. Please be careful.
This is the happiest day of my life. Very hard line to say convincingly.
In this situation. Go back a bit. Oh, okay.
Wow.
No, that was terrible.
I mean, what?
You're like, wow. How did you survive?
Well, I'm assuming that Moriarty's explained. But Moriarty's all. We've already met Moriarty. I don't.
Minecraft.
Mike, what?
I don't know, but like, okay, so.
Oh, I really wish I brought like the whole script with me, like, you know, what the heck's happening. But that's fine. Let's let the car go past. Lestrade! Oops, no, it's still quite loud. I thought it'd be quieter now it's gone away. How are you still so loud? You're miles away! Shut up!
It's a fucking mirror.
This is very touching, but you both seem to be forgetting that Sherlock's dead!
Yeah.
I feel like I've got enough upset in me from this situation.
You're just not having a good time.
It's an interesting experience.
You know, I'm actually enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can be so blasé about it. I feel like that's something you just say
yeah,
right
that's my response to you. I'm actually having a nice time. I don't see how you can be so blasé about it.
Sorry, you look so like your mum in that scene. Because your hair's kind of sticking up.
Yeah, my hair is... Okay, that's not a good idea. Okay, what? Oh gosh, it's so dark. Why is it so dark here? Where's the moon?
Behind the clouds.
Stupid clouds. Who needs them?
We should check the weather.
We also learnt that, for some reason, 10 years ago, I made an edit of the script and added a load of useless rubbish, and for some reason also that was the shooting script that I used, that was not signed off on, and it was so there's a lot of bonus rubbish that is just not in it. It's not in it.
Incidentally, it's completely meaningless, but that Who's This is a running joke in season 2 that Lestrade just doesn't know who Mycroft Holmes is, and like frequently seems to work with him but just doesn't know who he is. He's like, I don't know who that is. Who's this then?
Oh, that's good.
It's so funny.
That was a good way of being like, who's this? Yeah. Okay, and then.
Oh, I think this light isn't on me enough. Yeah, because it's all the way around here. Why? How's it got? Oh yeah, I think I just didn't.
You didn't move it.
Didn't move it. Yeah, can you hold this one? Sorry. Thanks. I appreciate your contribution.
It's okay. I'm actually enjoying myself. You're not enjoying yourself, but I am.
Really like stressy time. This is quite a funny scene. Can you tell by how much I'm laughing? Right, I will need to find that bottle. That's a very important spot. Oh, it's in the bag. It's fine. There it is. Good spot. Honestly, I'm having a bit of a executive dysfunction right now, and you're super helpful tonight. This is like I know I'm getting lined up.
How am I getting super helpful?
You spotted a lot of things. I found the foot hook obviously because I'm in it. But that's.
I'm getting tired.
If you could, yeah, do you think you'd be able to, or would that be? So yeah, I just sort of point it over there somewhere. I don't know. I guess there's nothing left for me now, except to become the danger dog. I wish can I start with the bottle partly unscrewed, because otherwise I can't. It's going to take.
How long does it take to unscrew.
It's a deep screw. Let's try again. I got the line right though.
Oh, this is awful. Oh wait, your eyes are blurred.
Oh, is the
Yeah.
lens wet again? I love blurry eyes. Blurry
eyes.
Right.
How long do you want to be live?
That's long enough. Okay, you can keep
Being brought back 10 years later to film two random characters to which I had no affinity was a surprise. I'd say it's a welcome one. They're kind of easy characters to do. They didn't take very long, and that kind of appeals to me, who is quite hard to get motivated to do these things. I don't know what happened with the innkeeper's voice. That was odd. But I liked it. I liked the character. It kind of soft launched me back into actually filming things for this stuff, and that's good. I think that's really good. So I like playing those characters. I don't want to fall into a rhythm where I get given too many characters going forward, because I think it works better because I'm the star of the show, and everyone's, everyone waits for those scenes that I'm in, and if I'm in every scene, then I'm just giving the people what they want too much. I want that anticipation. I want people anxious and panicking where I'm not in a scene. I want them thinking, where's Sherlock Jones? Where is he? But then when I do pop up on the screen, they'll smile and whoop for joy. They'll fist pump the air. I think the premise of the whole thing is bore people with Watson, excite them with Sherlock, and I think that formula works perfectly, actually.
Now, one thing I'd like to circle back to, I mentioned this earlier, that we couldn't get any new Sewage as Sherlock footage for season 2. Anything that we didn't have, we didn't have. Now, sort of renowned Sherlock Holmes expert Howard Ostrom has included our little series in his... He's got a guide of everyone that plays Sherlock Holmes, and our series is mentioned there. Sewage has a listing. I don't know if he watches all of this stuff or if he just, because there's a lot of Sherlock Holmes for stuff. I don't think he can possibly watch all of it. He certainly at least skims the end credits to get all the relevant details. So I guess we'll find out if he's watching this, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret that is not mentioned in the end credits. Throughout season 2, for any shots that we needed and didn't have of Sherlock, it's me. I'm body doubling for Sherlock. I basically put on Donovan's coat, which is kind of my picture Donovan because it's the closest thing to Sherlock's outfit, and just kept my face off of camera. So when Sherlock is hanging from a helicopter, that's me. When Sherlock high-fives Anderson in close-up, the arm, that's me. When Sherlock holds a coin, that in close-up, that's me. When Sherlock jumps off the roof onto a little ledge, that's me. When Sherlock just walks through a door and you don't see his head, that's me. When Sherlock ties a rope around Moriarty, that is me. That was difficult because I'm also Moriarty there. I had to film myself tying the rope around a ladder in a green t-shirt and then chroma key that out for a shot of me dressed as Moriarty. So that was a particularly difficult one. When Sherlock throws a box of matches onto the table, that is me. When Sherlock sat at a booth at the inn talking to Ian Scaredman, back to camera, that is me. That's the only time you see my really bad deerstalker that I bought. And at the very end, when Sherlock's dead and they look at his body in close-up lying in the heather, that is me. So I played Sherlock throughout this series. I didn't think about this until I was editing, but technically all these shots of Sherlock's hands from Series 1, Episode 3, the Reichenbach game, are also me. So I guess I was also Sherlock in that episode. I'm not on the list. I don't... Does sort of body double even count? Maybe not, but if you do watch this, Howard, there's a little sort of secret. I technically have played Sherlock. I don't know if it counts, but I'm not going to tell you. I have your contact details. I could tell you. I'm going to let you find that one out for yourself. That's a little surprise, a little Easter egg.
With what we had at the time that it was filmed for Series 1, it's all right. It's watchable. It's decent. It's a lot more janky, but it's all right. It's okay. With what we had for Series 2, with really old footage from me and brand new footage from Deborah, the fact that Deborah managed to edit it together as something cohesive is fantastic. It's amazing. It isn't seamless, but the seams look very neat. It doesn't look like stuff that was filmed 10 years apart, and I don't think you could really tell unless, I mean, you know, there's some obvious clues, particularly when Deborah has old footage. But I think, for the most part, I think it runs together very fluidly and it's good.
So, I'm really glad that I was able to do season 2. I really felt bad that it was sort of this unmade, unfinished work that I had, and I was able to, unlike with season 1 where there's things I should have changed and didn't, with season 2 I was able to add these little ideas in. They're particularly sort of building up the idea of maybe Watson's going to transition, because if I'm being honest, it's nicer if I can play characters more as myself. Some characters can stay as they are, but the wig I think really works for Anderson, so we're keeping that. But I just thought it'd be nice if Watson could, because the thing with Watson, I always played the character kind of as me.
Is Watson new, by the way? Because your reactions are like...
Yeah, Watson, that's why Watson's transitioning in season 3. The reason Watson isn't transitioning in season 2 is I filmed half of season 2 10 years ago. Otherwise, Watson would be already.
It's just from the your responses, I'm like, this is Deborah. This is you.
Yeah. I very rarely play characters with my own voice. Aside from the newsreader who pops up in a couple of these. And when I'm playing myself and I pop up as myself in an episode, I have a little cameo, a sort of Hitchcock-style cameo in season 2, episode 1. But Watson's about the only other character who I sort of play with my own voice. And that voice is slightly changed over time. You know, I've done vocal training, so in season 2, that's another thing that's slightly inconsistent depending if it's new footage or old footage. I sound a little bit lower and a little bit sort of rougher, but I just thought it'd be nice to be able to play a new version of Watson, and because we won't be tied to any old footage, that's something that we can now do. Season 3, we are incidentally in the process right now of writing season 3. Well, I say we have written season 3. It needs a little bit of a polish here or there, but I am hoping to start making that this summer, or sort of summer autumn, so I guess keep an eye out for that over the tail end of this year, if I get my act together and don't do another 7-year gap. But just to sort of ease us into that idea, I slipped these little elements into season 2 that weren't in the original script. So episode 1, we have a scene where Watson is sad and drinking tea and the tea's cold while Sherlock's off solving mysteries. And I added an extra one of those where we've got Watson looking into a mirror, and I always think that is, it's kind of the cliche, isn't it, in films, you know, trans character looks in mirror. So I threw that one in there, and we also had when Sherlock has a drawn-on moustache over his real moustache and says to Watson, I don't suppose yours washes off too, does it? But by the time I filmed my half of that scene, I physically could not, even if I wanted to grow a moustache, there is the follicles are just not there. So Watson kind of looks a bit affronted at the suggestion of having a moustache, and it's like that's the reason Watson punches Sherlock. It's because of the moustache thing. And then so we have, I don't have a moustache, do I? Looking in the mirror. That scene, I wanted to slightly mislead the audience a bit. So every time we have, in the first episodes, we have a scene that hints at trans Watson, we also hint at maybe Watson's secretly Moriarty, because that's one of the fake reveals in episode 3. So Watson looks away, sort of despondent, don't like my reflection, looks back, it's Moriarty. That was an extra scene, that wasn't in the original script, that just sort of slipped in there. The dream sequence from episode 2, that was in the original script, but I changed the dialogue just like a little bit. So originally it was Moriarty saying, oh, I can be in your dreams and I can corrupt you, oh, I can steal your innocence. And instead I changed it to, I can see your deepest secrets. Ooh, you kept that well hidden, didn't you? I don't have to call you John if you'd rather I... And then Watson gets very flustered because that's private. But again, it's Moriarty as a dream. It ties into this. At the start of episode 3, we have one of the many solutions is that Moriarty and Watson are the same person. And I was like, these scenes could be clues as to that being true. That is not true, obviously. We learn later on Moriarty is a different person. We see the two of them together in the same room, they're not the same person. But it just sort of plays into that, so when that solution is presented, you're like, oh, no. And then later in the episode, Watson's like, yeah, I've got things on my mind other than Sherlock stuff. I don't really know how to deal with this. And on Lestrade's recommendation. I really like Lestrade's sort of very sort of stereotypical bloke uncertainty of talking about emotions. The sort of he sort of shuffles the cup around awkwardly and is like really hesitant. I know that's a stereotype, but I feel like that's kind of the character. Lestrade he's got a good heart, but when it comes to talking about emotions, he's not that sure. It's not really his thing. But yeah, and then we see Watson phoning up Dr. Mortimer, who the only appearance of Dr. Mortimer who's a character in the actual Hound of the Baskervilles, about getting an appointment with a long waiting list because the waiting lists are long. So these are just these little parts. We also have, during the funeral scene where everyone's just muttering away to themselves, if you isolate Watson's audio, it's something along the lines of, yeah, I'm just thinking like maybe go with something like Joan would be easiest, because Joan Watson's already an established character. Let's make Watson Joan Watson.
And obviously, 10 years has passed. We're not going to pretend that 10 years hasn't passed. But what the most exciting thing about the future series will be is that both hey, let's not make any assumptions about how these two idiots are going to do this, but presumably the two main actors will film everything at the same time with the same kind of ideas, and so we'll have something that's not just cohesively joined together, we'll have something that feels very tight and very compact, and something that is a lot more complete.
So we've got new costumes, we've got a new title sequence I've put together, because season 2 I did my best to recreate the original title sequence in like higher definition. Some of the elements I had the high definition versions for, some I had to like upscale, and it didn't really work that well. So this new season, it's all new. It's the same idea, it's the same vibe, but it's done just slightly better. And I think that's kind of the angle we're aiming for season 3. I think we're going to try and have it feel like a natural continuation, but time has passed, we acknowledge that time has passed, things are different, the style is going to be hopefully better, the writing has had over a decade for us to improve on our writing skills, and I'm genuinely optimistic that it's going to be our best season so far. I'm just really optimistic for it. So I hope you come back when season 3 airs. I think season 2 has been my biggest project so far of my sort of YouTube video making career. Season 3 is hopefully going to be my biggest again. I'm aiming to do more location footage because I love doing that. I hope you enjoy it. So thanks for listening to our reminiscings of Ohmydinosare Sherlock seasons 1 and 2. I'll see you in season 3.